All right, so we got a lot to get to on the program. Representative Katie Porter is going to be running in a Senate primary against Adam Schiff. And left-wing Democrats love it when she writes stuff on a board and holds it up. Here she is telling you with a straight face that people in the high-tax blue states shouldn't actually have to pay both state tax and federal tax. That's not fair.
I'm Congresswoman Katie Porter. I'm from Orange County, California. I'm a vice chair. Thank you, Josh. The state and local tax deduction was in our tax code from its inception. And the reason it's there is because of the fundamental understanding that Americans should not be taxed on money they don't have. In this case, because they had to pay their state and local taxes. President Trump reversed over a century of precedent and poisoned our tax code with partisan political games. His $10,000 cap on the SALT deduction unfairly targeted states that did not support him in the election, including my home state in California. Now, before the Trump tax law, about 1 in 3 California taxpayers claimed the SALT deduction. And millions of middle-class Californians are counting on Congress to deliver tax fairness.
Maybe your state should lower its taxes instead of expecting people in the low-income tax states, the Republican states, to pick up the tab for you. My first guest is the senator from Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. You've got no state income tax. How is that fair to you?
I'm telling you what, you just can't make some of this stuff up. And you're right. In Tennessee, I led a 4-year battle to defeat imposition of a state income tax. We don't have a state income tax, and because of that, a lot of Katie Porter's constituents are leaving California, and they're coming to Tennessee, and they're letting us know they left their politics and their high taxes and all of that bad work environment in California, and they are looking for the free state of Tennessee and bringing their families there.
I remember you making a video, a sort of diplomatic video like, hey, if you're coming to Tennessee, let me explain how it works around here. And you explained what a shake and howdy was. I thought that was hysterical. But now you want to cut the federal budget. And I believe we need a spending cap. I believe we need the penny plan. I believe we need to talk about the fair tax or the flat tax. And here's a new one. What do you think of this? I think we should cap the number of people who work for the federal government.
Indeed, that is one of the proposals I have. You mentioned the penny plan, which is the legislation I have filed every single year. Let's do this. Let's have every federal agency go into their budget for all of our discretionary spending and reduce that budget, what they're allocated by, either 1 penny, 2 pennies, which would be 2%, or a nickel, which would be 5%, and do that for future generations. In addition to that, it is time for the federal government to freeze both federal hiring and federal salaries. If you were to do those things, across the board spending cuts and freezing federal hiring and federal salaries, then people would have to restructure their departments. Agencies would have to look at how to be more effective. And you're not going to see overnight miracles. It's not a silver bullet, but what it would do is put you on the path to reshaping these agencies and beginning to move away from expanding employment and begin to contract employment. Indeed, I'll give you one better, Andrew. I think that what we should do is term limit the amount of time that an individual can work for the federal government. Maybe it would be 15 years, maybe it would be 20 years, but that's another idea that is worthy of a thoughtful discussion.
All right, so talk to me about your plan for China. You have a website set up. Please talk about it.
Yes, indeed. The Chinese Communist Party is our greatest threat. They are not a friendly competitor, as our current president likes to say. They are an adversary. They are intent on global domination by the time we get to the year 2020. And 50, excuse me. And in 2020, I put out a plan, a white paper. Here are things we should be doing to deal with the Chinese Communist Party. We have to realize that their economic sector, their military sector, where they're focused on great power competition, that they're all one and the same. You have to look at what they're doing with bullying Taiwan and the Pacific Island nations, how they are carrying out a genocide against the Uyghurs, what they have done to the Mongolians, the Tibetans, the Hong Kong freedom fighters. Last weekend, they started bullying the Philippines. This is a very aggressive China. And this president needs to realize that he needs to be tough with China. He needs to look at sanctions. He needs to let them know they're not going to get by with this bullying. And I will tell you what I think on a lot of this. Xi Jinping would never have tried some of these aggressive moves with floating spy balloons and bullying other countries if we still had a President Donald Trump and a Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo.
The website is blackburn.senate.gov/China. I'm going to run out of time here, but I'll just throw this out and we'll run out the clock about 2 minutes. If we cut our taxes, roll back our regulations, re-onshore manufacturing, not through federal grants, not through giveaways picking winners and losers. If we made America the place where everybody wanted to make basketball sneakers and cell phones, we would beat them at their own game.
Yes, indeed, we would. Right now, in 2022, we had the largest trade deficit we've ever had with China. They imported more goods to the U.S. in 2022 than ever before. We need to bring that to a halt and make the business environment here more productive than going to China and doing your manufacturing. Bring those jobs home.
I got about a minute. Have you been briefed on what these objects are that we're shooting down?
We have had a couple of briefings now. We have more questions than answers. And I think it is time for the president to stand behind that desk in the Oval Office and address the people of this country and let them know what is going on. Some of the statements we're getting, the contradictory statements, they're unidentified. It's almost like they want to inspire dark web conspiracy theories to distract from the fact that our airspace is being penetrated by a foreign adversary. I mean, to listen to Lloyd Austin or Karine Jean-Pierre or what's his name? The spokesman from the Pentagon, John Kirby. Thank you. It's just hard to keep track of this. And now we've had 4 objects in 8 days and still no answers. Senator, I got to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. You got it. Take care.